On the Friday before last, February 6th, Bitcoin hit a new yearly low at $60,000 and then on the same day climbed up to $70,500. Such candlesticks often reverse the trend. Does Bitcoin have a chance to grow? Let's figure it out in this video. Before we start analyzing Bitcoin, I want to thank each and every one of you. Our global audience has already surpassed 100,000 people, and I think the next goal will be 200,000. Leave your comments. I try to reply to each of your comments. Now, let's get to the analysis. As I already mentioned, on February 6th, Bitcoin signaled a potential reversal, and in the previous video we talked about the possible entry points for buying, the middle of the green candle from February 6th, as well as its base. Notice that Bitcoin reached the middle and immediately showed growth. Moreover, yesterday's candle from the recent Friday, February 13th, engulfed two consecutive bearish candles. This indicates strong buying activity and a potential move toward the first target, which is the $72,078 level. Another technical target is the base of the large red candle in the $73,000 area where the cursor is currently positioned. But if we break through this candle as well, the next target is the lowest close we saw in 2025 during Bitcoin's decline, which is $76,239. So potentially we can now quite reasonably talk about two growth targets. The first is 72,000 and the second is 76,000 and above. Before we look at the monthly and weekly candles, I want to remind you once again what happened. Bitcoin was trading in this area in a sideways range. Then it broke out upwards, returned back to this range, and consolidated below the 50-day moving average. This indicated that this breakout upwards was a false breakout, which meant that the chances of a downward move increased, as I told you. And in fact, we fell. And where did we fall to? We fell to this level, which I marked with red arrows. It was tested many times in 2024. This is the $60,293 level. We touched it with the candle's wick back then, on February 6th, on Friday, and then bounced back to another important level. Here are a bunch of green arrows showing where we tested it. This is $72,078. Again, this is our nearest growth target as of now. Basically, as long as we remain within the range, the 72,000 level is the defining boundary for growth. If we break out from here, we could rise not only to 76,000, but also into this area, which is the range of our sideways movement. And we might test its lower boundary and then go further down, to 54 or maybe even 40. So this is one of the possible scenarios, but for now, we're only talking about 72,000 and 76,000 plus. These are the monthly candles of Bitcoin. If anyone doubts that Bitcoin has switched to a downward trend, let's take a look. For 5 months in a row, there's been a continuous decline, and potentially our downside targets are the 50-month moving average, around $57,000, and also the 100-month moving average, around $37,000. Because not so long ago, from the perspective of monthly candles, we already tested the 50-month moving average and even dropped below it. I also want to remind you that the last time we saw a 5-month-long continuous decline was back in 2018. Back then, Bitcoin fell from the $7,700 level to around $3,200. So, there are no reasons to buy here at all. Well, I've already outlined the targets. Technically, Bitcoin could drop to the closing price of the August 2024 candle, which is $58,974. And let me remind you, our current minimum is $60,000. So at the very least, we're still $1,000 short of this important level, and there's a very high probability that we'll see it. Before we break down the weekly candles, I want to remind you that we're doing this analysis on the QuantFury platform. I open all my trades here because I don't pay any commissions at all. You can do the same if you scan the QR code that's on your screens. And we continue. On the weekly candles, there isn't a single reason to buy Bitcoin. Here we also see a continued decline with a potential target around the 200-week moving average, which is $58,000. But technically we can assume a rebound, not a trend reversal, just a rebound, for a retest of the 100-week moving average in the area of $87,000 to $88,000, and even the 50-week moving average in the area of $99,000 to $100,000. This is possible, but we only have the right to talk about growth into this area when we see an engulfing of last week's red bearish candle, or another candle that sets a new yearly high for Bitcoin and also closes red. For now, the target for the decline is the $58,000 level. With that, I conclude this analysis of Bitcoin. The next one will be on the S&P 500 index. The cryptocurrency market and Bitcoin are very sensitive to any sharp downward movements in the American stock market. So to make sure you don't miss the next review, subscribe to the channel, and if you're already subscribed, hit the bell so you get timely notifications about new analysis on my channel. Goodbye.